Content warning. This podcast contains bones, blood, smut, and swear words, as well as John wearing a Snuggie as a cloak.
Before we get into the good shit this week, we want to remind you that we have a Patreon. For just $1 or $2 an episode, you get extended games, brand new content, access to our notes and murder boards, and much more. So, if you would like to be part of Marie's quest to develop a perfume that smells exactly like the Mithraeum, you can head to patreon.com/frontline5th or follow the link in the show notes. Okay, now back to that sweet bone zone action.
What are the top notes of the Mithraeum?
Like linalool. Linalool is the like orange cleaner scent. I think that's there.
Yeah. Lemon Pledge.
I think there's
For God's magic. Bottom notes are clearly a little mothball-y.
Stew, mothballs, and bones.
What do bones
Well, you have to get the notes of space as well.
Oh.
I'm really glad we talked about this.
Act 1. Welcome, penitents. Hello and welcome to the Frontline 5th, a Locktomb podcast where a couple of delightfully naive teacher's aides explore the Locktomb series for the first time while a couple of dried-out bone witches cackle over how little they really know. We're currently reading Note of the Ninth by Tamsin Muir, and this week we are staying inside while the city has a very bad day in Chapter 10 and John 5:18. I'm your host, Marie, and I am not a fan of letting go of most things. What about you, Hannah?
I wrote this before actually thinking about it and realized that I am a dichotomous person. And I love the feeling of letting go when it comes to physical things. I love doing drops on silks and sling, that kind of thing. I love the feeling of free fall if you're jumping off a cliff into a lake. And I am literally the worst at letting go of any emotional connection. Like, I am way too emotionally invested in everyone I've ever fucking met. Still. Like, have dreams about the kid I had a crush on in the 7th grade kind of level. Can't let go.
Whoa.
That's me.
Well, joining us today are Brooke and John, who are never allowed out into the hallway to listen to the radio, largely because John's dancing gets too wild. Brooke, John, are you more of a Cam or more of a no-no when it comes to letting go?
Dude, I'm the worst. I can let go of most things.
Not an answer.
Except, like, for myself. Like, I can't let go of anything related to myself, but I can let go of pretty much everything else.
Okay, what do you mean by that? Like,
I mean, my own ego I can't let go of. Like, proving myself, whatever, doing things. If it's an emotion that, like, is me feeling affronted or something, I can't let go of that. But, like, other things happen in the world, I'm like, meh, okay. I'm the worst.
I respect this.
I didn't know that until you made me question myself, Hannah, so I don't appreciate it.
You know what?
Well, I can tell you that I've had to let my dogs go outside several times, which is why you keep seeing me step away from the podcast for a moment, because they're yelling at the door, and then they realize it's cold outside, and then they want to come back in because they are spoiled dogs, and one of them was born in California and never knew the bite of the cold until we returned to the East Coast.
Do they have goldfish brain? They keep doing this in and out?
Yes. Yes,
Out and
no,
in.
they have silly
Maybe
tiny
they're just
dog
bad
brain.
at thermoregulating. They also, can I just say that, like, one of the things I love about John's dogs is Muzzy in particular is relatively low to the ground. And if it's raining, he just, like, kicks up wet onto him and he comes back in with just his stomach completely soaked through. And it makes me feel so sad, sweet, pitiful dog.
Yeah, so the problem is we shave his belly to prevent knots. And so, you know, he gets just cold, naked, wet belly when it's raining.
Oh.
Was this something to do about you letting go?
Yes, I was letting them go outside. That's how we
That's how we got
this.
here. And now we're like in the, I'm so frustrated with my dog right now because he does this thing where he stands at the door so that you'll get up because he wants you to do something else. And usually it's because he wants you to get him fresh water because his water isn't the water that he wants. But lately, I don't know what the fuck it is. He'll like just stand at the door and then you get up and then he like immediately leaves the door and he's like, yeah, you got up. Okay. And I'm like, dude.
Are we hanging out? We playing? Treat time? Wait, John,
what's your real answer?
Yes, I'm probably somewhere in the middle. I let go of most things pretty easily, and then there's some things I will probably hold on to until my grave. So,
Okay.
But I'm very,
So like
I would say I'm
human.
easy. I'm easy 95% of the time. Yes, you know, I've successfully overcome the disease of Irishmen, which is, you know, we're just going to bury everything deep down inside. Irish Catholics specifically, we bury everything deep down inside with a combination of potatoes and whiskey, and then you die of a heart attack at 65. So I think we're going to probably beat that one. We'll be okay.
Yay.
Okay.
Good.
I mean, good news. Good news for the podcast. We can keep doing this until you're 75. Okay.
66 at least.
Before we get into this pretty heart-rending episode, was there anything in particular that you thought about reading these chapters?
Yeah, my reflection coming away from these chapters was like this conversation between Pyrrha and Palamedes about like what's worth fighting for. Like just kind of it reflects a lot in kind of like things that you hear about today. When it's a lot of people, it becomes like this nameless number. When there's a lot of people being affected, you know, it's hard. It's kind of easy to just push that away a lot of the time. But when it's like down to a name, so like here it was Kiki, Camilla's sister, half-sister, or for Palamedes, it's the 15 people that he knows. Like, these are the more manageable numbers, are a lot easier to wrap your brain around. They're a lot easier to put yourself on the line for those small numbers. But then for some reason, when you scale it up, we just kind of...
It doesn't mean anything anymore.
Yeah, which is insane, right? Because obviously the magnitude of the problem is that much worse. It should be that much worse, but we just kind of, like, our brains can't quite handle it in the same way, and we literally let go completely, right? Typically.
Yeah.
Yeah, our brains can only do so much at some time. Humans are bad at comprehending big numbers and statistics and just so many other things.
And it's wild when like that's reflecting like the scale of like a massacre that like we care less about hundreds or thousands of people dying than we care about one person. It's so much easier to care about one singular person or 3 singular people, whatever it like. Yeah, that's what we're seeing in these chapters, is that same sort of like psychology. I think Pal and Cam are maybe a little bit less susceptible to it than the rest of them, and then Pyrrha's gone to the point where she's just like, literally nobody is worth fighting for except yourself. But even that's not true for her, because she fights for the
circle,
3 of them, right?
Yeah.
They're so
yeah, we'll get into that further, but like I feel like that's not even I feel like that's an intentional defense mechanism she holds, because it hurts too much to care about all of the people. But yeah, I mean, kind of, so it's not the same thing, but I think it's in the same like general area. What these chapters really hit me with is there's this brief conversation between Camilla and Nona about responsibility. Mm-hmm. And I think that's kind of like what the whole chapter is about, is like who you're responsible to and whether or not you get to choose to like do the things you feel like you need to do, given that there's more than one thing you need to be doing, right? Like that you can't say of everyone. And how do you choose? And who are you responsible to protect is like a really painful conversation throughout this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I honestly don't blame Pyrrha at all, because, you know, if you live 10,000 years, I think probably the only way to stay sane is to just start being really okay with letting go of 99% of things, because otherwise you're just going to go
right, because it compounds, right? Things don't things don't go away after 100 years. You can still know that they happened and feel bad about it.
Yeah.
Well,
meme watch.
Marie, did you have anything exciting that you pulled out? Like something less dark, maybe?
I mean, just the...
Is there a funny moment?
Is there a funny moment? I mean, ending the chapter with like, see, I did build a utopia. We're like, you know what?
Yeah.
Fuck you.
Oh my God. Yeah. That was an audible go fuck yourself from me. Yeah. Although I do kind of agree. The internet is slowly becoming...
Yeah, we can go down a whole other deep dive with the enshittification of the internet. But...
Yeah.
Enshittification?
Yes, it's a term. Google
it's
it.
It's a word.
That
it's actually, I'll send you an article.
Yeah.
I'll send you a good article.
Kind of rolls off the teeth more than the tongue. Anyway, did we have a meme watch?
I mean, Jod is a Twitch streamer. Okay, settle down outside number 302 and listen to the radio. I said settle down, John, as we present Nona the Ninth, Episode 6, False Labor Pains. Act 2, Responsibilities Clash.
This section of Frontline Fifth is safe for anyone who hasn't read past John 5:18 in Nona the Ninth.
Let's recap. Chapter 10, Broken Second House Skull. The city continues to have a bad day. Zombies for the cages. Keep her home tonight.
Well, Nona is definitely not getting to go to the beach today because shit is getting tense in New Row. Camilla says, I don't like the city today. 2 people got shot. Someone else got dragged out of the river. They were strangled. Nona wants to go back to school so she can check on her friends and on Hot Sauce's investigation. And Cam actually takes this a little too seriously for Nona's liking, but it's not going to happen.
Thank you. Love that we're like, Nona just wants to gloss over this shit as just being like this weird thing that Hot Sauce is doing. But like, hello.
There is something weird happening, but also like Nona doesn't give any extra details. So I do appreciate that at this point from Nona's stories, Cam has learned that Hot Sauce is a capable and smart, person, has it together. If Hot Sauce is worried and is investigating, that's
there's
a thing
somebody
to take
watching
seriously.
them.
Yes.
Should be worried.
But in any case, there's just too much tension and violence in the air. Nona says she has a responsibility as a teacher's aide, but Cam says that her responsibilities clash. And I felt this so deeply, so incredibly deeply.
Yeah, tell me about it, Marie.
Well, I mean, I think it's everything that you kind of have notes here too from your own perspective on this about Nona says it's hard for her to feel responsible for the 2 other people she might be when she just feels more responsible for the people she knows. And Cam's like, no, actually, a lot of your responsibility is just for yourself and taking care of yourself for us so that we don't worry about you. And I find like that kind of part of like the responsibilities clash is just, it's difficult. It's really hard.
I was thinking that this is a moment that feels very relevant today about the whole, I mean, you see it a lot on the internet, the self-care. And then there's this whole criticism of the self-care movement. Yeah, there's a whole criticism of self-care and boundaries that says what it means is you've had a million excuses not to take care of others and to prioritize yourself. And there's this like, obviously, it's not one or the either, and it's just kind of hard to define boundaries.
Responsibilities clash.
It's the responsibilities clashing. There's only so many hours in a day. How many hours go to the other people in your life and your community versus to yourself and like the spoons thing? Like, I think that that's great that like this is a child's perspective on it.
I think it has to do with that all of the responsibilities are true. Like, in other words, you have a responsibility to yourself. You have a responsibility to your family. You have a responsibility to your community. You have a responsibility to your work. And also, the thing that needs to be talked about is the prioritization of like, how do you balance it? Because you shouldn't be sacrificing many of these things to each other, or at least you shouldn't be doing that all of the time. Like, there are times when your personal life will be sacrificed to other things, but it shouldn't be constant. And I think that that's like the thing of like just saying everybody wants like a really easy answer of saying, well, like this is the formula of how to keep everything balanced and how to make sure everything's correct and how to make sure that I'm the best person I can be. And it's like, okay, but what is the purpose of being the best person you can be if it's not to actually be the best person for other people too?
Right.
Your responsibilities clash.
Yes.
No, and it's really broad too. And the other thing that, I mean, so everything you guys just said, but additionally, they overlap, right? I mean, part of what Cam is saying here is that Nona has a responsibility to herself, not just for herself, but because that implies a safety for Cam and Pal and Pyrrha, that actually like part of why you take care of yourself is so that you can help other people not have to be the ones who are always taking care of you, or so that you can take care of other people. This is like for new moms, it's really important that you actually get enough sleep because your baby needs you to actually not fall asleep on them while you're holding them. So like, even though it feels like, oh my God, I'm neglecting my child. Do you know what I mean? Like there's this balance where you actually, part of the reason that you focus on responsibility to yourself is so that you can help your community.
Well, then that's not a clash. That's a feed-forward loop.
Right, but it's squishy because you still have to make choices because the only limiting factor is time, right? And since you literally do not have infinite time, you can't simultaneously check on your friends and make sure that you stay unshot. In this case for Nona, right? Like she can choose one.
How much do you think our personalities are defined by our proclivities for prioritization?
Hugely.
Yeah. This is also, sorry, just like random side rant. One of the reasons that I really hate the like obsession with the way people talk about boundaries these days is they talk about them like they're ultimatums. Yes. And part of the problem with this is that responsibilities clash and they clash differently moment to moment. And you need to be reassessing. You can't draw a hard line in the sand for almost anything. You have to be able to say, all right, in the context of this situation, how do I reprioritize? Like it's constantly shuffling.
I've got an analogy. Your boundaries aren't that great aren't the Great Wall of China, your boundaries are a curtain door.
Yes. You get to decide.
Movable?
Yeah.
I guess
I
it's
was going to go with
flexible.
they're the South China Sea, but that's just a deep cut that like 6 people will probably get.
Where you draw the line in the South China Sea?
No, it's not the Great Wall of China. It's the South China Sea, which is
yes.
The borders are the borders are fungible. Yes.
That's amazing, John. I like
fungible?
That.
They can be turned into currency?
Are they fungible?
Wait.
Flexible.
No, wait.
Fungible doesn't
Isn't that what fungible means?
I thought fungible was because non-fungible token NFT, right? Is you can't change it. Am I crazy?
Mutually interchangeable. Okay, it doesn't just have to do with currency.
Oh.
Fungible
replaceable by an identical item. So in other words, NFTs are non-fungible because each NFT is absolutely unique. You cannot interchange it with another digital thing.
Each NFT
is fungible.
Is exactly equivalently stupid.
Yes.
Can't be replaced with literally nothing.
So in other words, dollar bills are fungible because $1 bill could be identically replaced by another dollar bill. But an NFT is not fungible. Anyway,
well, now I understand what an NFT is more. SAT prep.
Cut this whole conversation so I don't get canceled by the crypto bros.
We already got canceled
by... they all listen to this podcast.
Yeah, we're getting canceled by the self-care gurus already.
You
So
remember how last episode we said that the Venn diagram was an actual Venn diagram instead of just like one overlapping circle? I think the people that listen to this podcast and the crypto bros are just two entirely separate circles. There is no Venn diagram.
There is no Venn diagram. Okay, as they're getting dinner, the fishmonger explains to Nona that nice girls with no guns needed to stay inside.
Can I just say, I love a fishmonger character. Like, that's one of my favorite tropes. I love a good fishmonger.
Always an NPC.
Yeah, or a cabbage salesman. I would also take a cabbage salesman. Yeah.
I also appreciate that, like, this is part of, like, speaking of, like, priorities clash, like, this is part of Nona's importance to Camilla and Palamedes and Pyrrha is that she is able to communicate with everybody. Camilla isn't having this conversation with the fishmonger. Nona is, and then reporting back what was said.
Yeah. Information gathering.
So there was a riot at the port. Workers breached the space elevator trying to hijack a shuttle. Most of them had been shot, and there were no shuttles there anyway. There were no shuttles anymore. So back home, they eat and wait for Pyrrha's return. Also, I want their dinner, fried fish and fried rice. And I was like, damn, yes, thank you. And even with that, Nona does not have my tastes. I actually really like eating. Nona tries to get out of eating. Camilla asks her if she's been eating sand again, and she hasn't. Not months. Well, actually weeks. Okay, 1 week. But still.
I fucking love this. This was like just like the most perfect child response. You're like trying to be progressively more honest as you think about it.
So cute.
They're both relieved when Pyrrha comes in, looking terrible, covered in dust and smoke and someone else's blood. Thank goodness. Thank goodness that it's someone else's, not thank goodness that there's blood. Palamedes immediately goes into doctor mode, trying to pull the remaining shrapnel out of Pyrrha's forearm. Pyrrha wasn't at the port riot, but she was there for some of the aftershocks. People were taking pot shots at the police, who were taking pot shots back with a munitions launcher. I don't think that's pot shots. I think there's a little bit of a disparity there in munitions.
Strong agree. I also just think this whole thing is you can really feel viscerally the city being on edge. So unfortunately for Brooke and John, they've been left to read just a couple chapters at a time. But over the course of this day, the day starts with people feeling just a little jumpy on edge and snapping at each other over mush. And by the end, we've got so many gunshots around the school that people are going home early. And then there's this riot. And now there's, like these aftershocks where people are firing on one another and chanting. And like, you can just feel the city coming apart at the seams.
Dude, that was helpful. Thank you.
It's bad down there, but it still hasn't hit rock bottom. People in the streets are chucking bombs at the cops and yelling shit about no deals, no lords, no zombies. But when it kicks off, nobody will be yelling anything.
So Pyrrha says that this is anger, not fear. And for me, like that was another thing that really felt viscerally accurate, that to some degree, anger is a very hard emotion to control, but you can control it. Fear is almost impossible to control. Fear is that thing that really takes over at the like back of your neck and your spinal cord and drives you in silence, wide-eyed, just without any thought.
Yeah, it sounded to me almost like maybe Pyrrha was kind of alluding to like what she knows, like that maybe there's gonna, we don't know what's going on here, John and I, at all. Like,
yeah,
like we don't know like what the forces are that are acting against each other right now, like what they're fearful of. It sounds like they're fearful of the house, right? No lords, no zombies. It sounds anti-house. And we've seen like in the BOE pamphlet how the houses are waging this war, and like that is the fear part. And I don't know. So I don't know if this is Pyrrha kind of touching on like knowing how, if the house forces come down and like quash this, if that's what's happening, that's fear.
And then we've got a problem.
Yeah.
I could see it.
Like versus right now, these people don't know. They don't know. They don't even know. Like BOE apparently is the only people fighting them. I don't know if that's true or not.
I mean, it seems like if there's people in the streets, maybe BOE is like kicking it off, but it's like everybody is on edge and angry. There's not like we're running out of things. Like we want to try and get off of here. We're all worried that nobody else is gonna that we're not gonna get off of here, that there's not a deal. You still have like some sort of like, isn't there like a barracks siege or like something like that? Or, like there's just a lot of shit going on.
Yep.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. And I think you're right that at this point, like what we're talking about today is mostly civilians. It's not a question of like two warring factions. It's the people trapped between.
So Nona draws Pyrrha a bath because her, like, what did she say? My dirt's got dirt, or my grind's got grime?
My filth's got filth.
My filth's got filth. Yes. While she's in there, it's hard not to eavesdrop on Pyrrha and Palamedes. Pyrrha has something important that she needs Palamedes to do. She needs Pal to stop Camilla, hold her back, to keep her home tonight. Because Pyrrha tells Palamedes that in the chaos and violence she witnessed, the rioters taking 3 people off of the cops. Those prisoners are going to be taken to the park tonight to be put in the cages and burned alive. And it's just an awful, awful, tragic conversation because Pyrrha is desperately trying to keep Palamedes and Camilla from interceding in a situation that would be one person versus 200 motherfuckers with machine guns. And Palamedes keeps trying to say those people are people, even if they're not from the houses, are not his family and friends. They are someone's family, someone's friends. And Pyrrha's like, yeah, I know that. But also you can't save everyone. And she would do anything to see and keep Cam and Pal and Nona safe. No heroics. Don't feel. Just do.
What are they doing?
Like, in other words, don't have feelings about stuff. Just do what you need to do. Like, you don't get to have feelings right now. Like, she's very much taking the Irish Catholic approach. That is how Pyrrha has survived 10,000 years.
Sure.
Yeah.
I just don't understand how you do things without having feelings about that stimulate your action.
You're supposed to be working off of logic and not feelings.
Yeah.
Is that possible?
As someone who is deeply emotionally repressed, yes. Yes, it is.
Yes.
As somebody who pretends you don't have emotions?
As someone who pretends emotions are not a thing.
Okay, but speaking of, I think that's a good reflection on Pyrrha because Pyrrha is, you're absolutely right, is very practical, has spent 10,000 years like holding her shit together and keeping her emotions down when they are not helpful. And at the same time, like while she was out there, she surely could have come back from these riots earlier, but she didn't. She stayed and she saved who she could. And then left the rest to be buried and burned. Right?
She
like
had
that's
feelings.
who Pyrrha is.
She was doing, but she was rooted in feelings.
Yeah, I think that Pyrrha is less clinical than she would like us to think.
Mm-hmm.
And at the same time, she knows that there are limits. I mean, she's completely right here. They're both right here. Those are 3 fucking people being burned alive. It's one of the most horrific deaths you can imagine. The way he's describing it, they literally tape their arms to their sides so they're like static while they're being doused in gasoline. Like it's horrifying. And at the same time, just Camilla versus 200 motherfuckers with machine guns. What does that do? That makes Camilla feel better about having interceded. It certainly doesn't save those people in the cages, and it doesn't save anyone that Camilla could save in the future, right? It's this weird, fucked up space of responsibility where also you could make a really good argument that having Pal and Camilla there at a different time to convince someone that someone is not a zombie and should not be taken to the cages is going to be more effective and maybe has a bigger impact than saving these 3 people. And at the same time, you can't dismiss these 3 people because every single fucking one of them is a person who is about to be burned alive. Like, this is a just no-win situation.
Winners. Yeah.
And you learn a little bit more. You get a little bit of a piece of info in here, and who knows, like, what it actually means, right? But you get a little bit of, like, Palamides is the reason that, like, both Palamides and Camilla feel absolutely responsible. They are the reason that their house is there at all. And it's not just like, oh, we feel responsible for these 15, 16 people because we literally brought them here and now we feel like they're in an unsafe situation. And like, that's partly like what we're worried about with like these 3 people. These 3 people could be.
Yeah, they don't even know where they are, right?
Right.
Yeah.
That's what they're like, that's what we think they're looking for, right? Is that like that's why they're
family.
looking through Site C. They're looking for that. And we learn it is literally family. It is Cam's sister.
Yeah, it sounded like Powell said at some point that maybe his mom was there too. Or was that
right?
An illusion?
Does he say that?
He doesn't say it in this chapter. I was kind of looking for it because I thought we were primed for that in an earlier chapter that his mom had come to as like the.
I don't know if we necessarily know that. We just know that like he feels deeply responsible.
It sounds like the council came and is like being held by BOE or like the populace or something.
Yeah. It's hard to. We don't know they don't know what happened to them either because they're still looking for them.
And they've probably been held for at least a month because that's kind of like
they don't
the
even know if
timeline
they're
on
alive
which
or
they
dead,
said things
right?
went really wrong. Yeah.
They were looking for bodies.
Yeah. Like they're looking for anything. And Pyrrha like tries to make him feel a little bit better and feels like they're probably not even necromancers because like they're just some schmucks. And even if they are,
like,
doesn't
the people
she
being
say
burned
this?
alive.
The people being burned alive.
Yeah.
They're probably just some randos that they sneezed wrong or whatever. And like Palamides is like, that doesn't make it better.
No, it does
and
not
Pyrrha's
make
like,
it
it's
better.
fine. There's always some softy in the crowd that might like shoot them first.
Mercy kill them before they get tortured to death. Cool. Yep. Could we keep going?
Like even beyond the pain of this no-win situation, I do think this is also separately just kind of an interesting ethical question that there's a type of person who feels like you should save your family first. If you can equally save your family or a stranger. And there's a type of person who feels like there should be no difference between those two.
Right. Yes.
And that's a whole other set of questions. And Palamides is not good at at half measures. One of the first things he says in like the first chapter we meet him in this book is that he refuses to leave anyone behind. It's the 16 is the
Plus,
6th house
the
contingent.
millions.
It's all of the people in the barracks and it's all of the people on the colony. Like not going to leave anyone behind.
He's got
but he's gonna
entrepreneur
have
spirit.
to.
And yeah, Palamides leaves this conversation saying, tonight I hate almost all the human race.
Don't we all? Sorry.
Yeah, sometimes.
That's a feeling. Kill
Felt
it.
very relatable.
It's a feeling, kill it.
Thanks, P.
Palamides goes off to record some messages to Camilla, and Nona asks Pyrrha if she can go into the corridor to sit outside number 302 and listen to the radio. Cam normally doesn't let her do this because she says they're maniacs, but Pyrrha promises not to tell as long as Nona doesn't get shot.
I love that little like way that Pyrrha probes us out. He goes, "Does Camilla usually let you do that?" And she goes, "No." She goes, "What's her reasoning?" She says they're maniacs. Yeah, you can go do that.
Yeah, that's fine. So Nona tiptoes out into the hallway and finds a window outside number 302 that isn't completely covered, and she peels back the tape and looks out at the blue sphere that hangs over the city, and she lets the light touch her. It's a secret from everyone else, but Nona loves the blue sphere just as much as she loves everything else because she is the only one who can hear it sing.
What?
Suspicious.
What?
When she gets back to the apartment, Camilla is there, tired and sad. Nona opens her arms, and Camilla lays beside her, letting Nona put an arm around her, but not quite holding her. Nona offers to go to the park instead because she's basically immune to getting hurt, and she's not scared of dying.
I love also that Cam is like, is that your plan, to get hurt?
Yeah. So, like, what's the plan then?
I identify with Cam in this moment.
Yeah.
It's nice to see Cam not being like 100% perfect.
And needing to be held and letting herself be held a little bit is really lovely, I think.
Well, and Nona tells her she isn't scared of dying because she likes the feeling of letting go. Cam says she doesn't let go. It's her one thing. Good night, Faroon. Meanwhile, in a dream, Act 3. 2 scientists, an engineer, a detective, a lawyer, and an artist walk into a bar to help me become God.
John 5:18. Testing the limits. Time to go viral.
In the dream, they are lying atop a hill in the falling ash, looking at the stars they can't really see.
I was just going to say that, like, this is something I feel like I've left out of many of these descriptions, but in each of these, right, he's telling the story of what happened, but they're also walking through this like crazy apocalyptic landscape where like the water's rising and the ash is falling and there's eerie light. He's also like, he's showing her things. He's naming cars that are bobbing in the water, telling her the names of the stars that are beyond the smoke. And so it's just kind of an interesting timeline because I think there's like 2 timelines going on. They're walking in an apocalypse and talking about the past.
She asks him about the finger trick where he curled Titania and Ulysses' fingers into fists. And he tells her that he repeated the trick for the whole gang and it was impossible to disbelieve. You couldn't explain it away. By the end of the day, he had Titania and Ulysses walking around, standing up and sitting down with him. C and G were the least weirded out, whereas M had a really hard time until A gave her some benzos. Tracks. Again, this is where I get the like Mercy Moore and Stan, like a woman in STEM for 10,000 years, just sick of everybody else's bullshit. I'm like, I fucking love Mercy. P was worried that it was a zombie apocalypse, but it was clear to everyone that Titania and Ulysses weren't autonomous. They were being puppeted. They weren't going around biting anybody or anything.
Yeah. I really loved this description, but I also think it's kind of a weird take. So like one of the things John says is that he's surprised that C and G were the least weirded out because they were raised very religious, whereas M and A are 2 scientists and they had a harder time believing.
Makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Zombie
like Jesus. I would
Jesus.
think that you're prepped for miracles. If you're not looking for a hole, you're not looking for something. It's startling to find something you truly can't explain when you're a scientist, whereas I feel like you're more open to that if you have a fundamental belief that there are things that you can't explain.
There are miracles, yeah, and things you can't explain.
Are you ready for a miracle? Ready as I can be. Are you ready for a miracle? Spirit set you free.
What are you singing, John?
It doesn't matter. I love the dancing.
Didn't you start this episode with John dancing?
Yes.
Oh, God. Okay.
It was funny.
I also love, separately, I genuinely love that P is like, is this a zombie apocalypse? Because that should be your first fucking thought. Like, it is insane to me that the other people were not also moving. Like, hey, by the way, dead bodies are moving.
Yeah, I mean, we're primed for it because we've seen necromancy in this book for 2 books leading up to this point. But yeah, if you just get dropped into this and dead bodies start wiggling, you go, is that a zombie?
No.
Yeah.
Well, if we think back to when we were little nunlets, Brooke, like we had some very serious discussions in season 1 about zombies, like, and just trying to figure this shit out. Because, like, yeah, I mean, 100%. If I see a corpse getting up and walking around, I'm trying to find a gun and shoot it in the head. Like that is my automatic response.
Yeah. Actually, I'm kind of surprised that none of these got shot in the process. Like, Pyrrha would have had a gun.
Instead, everyone tries to come up with trials to test the limits of John's power. Because remember last week's game? Turns out that proximity to the corpses...
We did an okay job.
Yeah.
I thought we did a great job.
I think we did fantastic.
They didn't pull out the fMRI machine, so maybe we did a great job.
They should have. We'd have some answers.
They've got to have them. No, but you're right. They never reanimated a corpse. Like, they never reanimated a live person that they froze, because that would have been a very important test to run, Marie.
Yes.
To make sure that everything was running smoothly, you'd reanimate your frozen live person, rehydrate.
The one thing that they did that we definitely did not do was try it on other bodies. I love that they literally rob a graveyard so that they can get other dead bodies to test on.
I was thinking like animals maybe, but yeah, other dead bodies, that's gross.
Yeah, so awful. Yeah, so it turns out that proximity to corpses matters, but he could do the same thing anywhere. It just wasn't like being at the facility. It wasn't just the corpses of the facility because they robbed the graveyard and then P is pissed because she has to cover it up.
Do you think that they're like reanimating just the bones then? Like, is this like what we eventually see with like the necromancy?
Like freshly or like embalmed bodies that like aren't rotting quite as quickly.
Oh, yeah.
Like it's sort of our possible ley line theory from season 1 as well, where it's just like the facility / canon house is
they brought that like pretty specifically up in this.
Yeah, it just happens
chapter,
to be a place where like death or like, powers manifest or something. So, well, we're at least getting answers to some things. They're not the answers we want, but
answers to questions we dumped a long time ago in favor of more important ones.
They do know that if someone important finds out, they may be silenced or even disappeared. So they need to get this information public as fast as possible. So they decide to live stream on the internet. Lord, what is the internet? See, I did make a utopia.
I'm giving ourselves half a point because when we were talking about the hypothesis for the pre-resurrection timeline, or at least I had thrown out that people figure out that he has powers and everyone loses their mind. And I'm assuming that live streaming actual magic to the internet would probably get you about as close to that as you can get. So half a point for us, Brooke.
Maybe that's the reason that they set off like nukes.
They try to kill him. Oh my God, were we actually entirely on the money?
I don't know, but now that we're planning to go viral, I think it's time for a game.
Oh my God.
Interstitial. See, I did make a utopia. So, sitting here looking at your gorgeous faces on Zoom from 1,000 miles away, recording a podcast that we stream via the internet about a book filled with allusions to internet memes, I feel comfortable saying that killing the internet would probably be a fantastic idea for humanity.
Nice. End call. Podcast over.
The Nine Houses doesn't have the internet, but it does have a lot of other problems. So the game this week is we're going to go ahead and one-up Jod. We're creating utopias. So in this week's game, you need to do nothing more than tell me how to build the perfect society. Who wants to go first? I've got one. Everybody vaccinates. End of story. That's it.
That's phenomenal. That's very good. I like that a lot.
Woof, going political.
That's all.
That's a good start. I like the start to that utopia. I feel like we're about to create like a collaborative utopia. We've always talked about.
I like that too.
I've always thought that like a lot
Isn't
of our
that
problems.
Part of utopia? It can't just have one person's ideas. It actually has to be cooperative and collaborative. That's the whole fucking point with the utopia.
Are we doing this somewhat ironically, kind of like God here, or are we doing like an actual full-on utopia?
I think it can be both. But I do think that a lot of the time, the problems that I see are related to the fact that we're trying to incorporate too many people's ideas to make everybody happy, and it doesn't really work that well. So what does seem to help is when you scale down your utopia size, and it's not the entire globe. We're making utopias at a small scale for like small groups of us, small communities. I am full pro cult as long as your cult doesn't infringe on other people's cults.
I was going to say, we've horseshoed around to the libertarian floating island utopia.
Here for it. We've talked about it, like all of us like getting together in like a cute little cult of our own, and like Marie teaches everybody.
Commune. Better word.
Sorry, interchangeable.
Yeah, we're gonna have to give you cult media training.
Is that a fungible?
Yeah.
Is that fungible?
No, this is okay, Brooke. I'm really happy you said this because this is where mine starts too. Is communities should be no bigger than about 100 people. I think that's really pushing the limits of like whether or not you can know people and know their needs and understand.
Yeah, the scale of caring about people.
Yeah, one of the serious problems with equity is like everybody wants to feel like they're getting equal treatment if it's like an anonymous, invisible person. It's a lot easier when you see someone next to you where you're like, oh, you need a little extra help, to give them a little extra help.
Yep.
Like
to stand up and do the thing.
It works a lot better with it. And there's actually a long history of social science looking at people who are super, super anti-queer, but are perfectly fine with the gay people they know.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So I think Small Society starts as a great place to start.
John, what's your ironic contributions?
Oh.
Yes.
Patreon subscribers. We'll definitely have windmills and solar panels and potentially geothermal, depending on the location. We will drop the coordinates later, I guess. I don't know.
100%. I'm also like, I'm sorry, I have a weird obsession with, there's been an effort to try and do tidal-based energy, and it's really hard because salt water fucking corrodes everything.
Yep.
But if you could get
Except
something that
Nona.
really would work. Yeah. No, I love that. Okay, we've got renewable energy. Everyone's getting vaccinated in our small communities. My other thing is about governance and education. One, I think education needs to be universal.
Better
like everyone has
incentivized.
access to it. Yeah, and I don't know the best way to do that, to be honest, but I think it's easier in a community of 100 to make sure that everybody is getting.
Well, maybe, but I think that it's also somewhat harder because as soon as you're in a smaller community, your options are limited by the immediate needs of the small community and what is already covered versus what is not covered. Like maybe it feels a little bit like, I think another reason that like, you know, we don't live in a utopia is for, you know, not necessarily always being in the right position that brings us happiness, that our work doesn't bring us happiness, right? And this is part of like, you know, internet being chopped maybe would, the college degree pipeline is maybe not always the most satisfying pipeline from a
Yeah,
career
I mean, like, this
perspective
is
for
one
most
of my,
us.
like, lukewarm takes as an academic and a college professor is, like, so many people go to college that do not need to go to college. And if we incentivized and, like, had... we didn't have like college was always a status symbol. It's still a status symbol, except now it's supposed to be a status symbol that like buys you a job, and it doesn't. Like if we had more about trade school. So like when we say access to education, not fucking everybody needs a college liberal arts degree. And that's not what being educated means. It means that our public school system isn't failing people.
That's right.
To prepare them for a career or multiple careers for the rest of their life, the education that they need in order to be successful for their communities and feel successful
to even
themselves.
like make decisions like the level of at which you can learn like biology or anything like this doesn't make you like able to, like in high school I'm talking about, doesn't make you able to like make decisions about your own health. Like things that.
No.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like that.
so
Like
I'm with you.
Functional
What
education.
I want from education, I want functional K through 12 education, and actually I think it should be preschool through 12, right? So we're talking about childcare as well, because that's part of this is to try and like make that. And what I want is for people to be taught that their opinions have value, that they should be asking questions, that it's okay not to know the answer, things like this, and then how to find an answer. Like I'm less interested in whether or not you know any given fact about anything.
Yes.
That's the energy I'm looking for.
Don't start stamp collecting
We're going to
fish
need
names.
a fishmonger. We need a fishmonger.
We need a fishmonger.
Cabbage
the
grower.
fishmonger is the most important part of every community. Okay, and then the last thing that I also really want is that I think everyone should be obliged to serve their community. And that can look like anything. It could be serving in local government. It could be serving as teachers, serving as garbage collectors, serving as like some portion of your time.
Oh my goodness.
Is something that you are required to give back.
Yeah, that's like a system that like small communities still have. Like today, I just recently like stumbled across a girl who had moved to a rural area of Japan, and she's living in this like small town, and she's been signed up for their like every month you get signed up for trash duty, and you wake up at 5:30 in the morning, and you with a couple other people in your town, and you go and clean up the streets.
You go help for one day. This is exactly what I'm looking for.
I'm sure you litter less when you're the one picking it up.
Well, now that we have a perfect world planned, it is time for rampant speculation. Act 4. Hot Sauce is worried about something. Brooke and John aren't just great at befriending dogs and cuddling dogs and not even having them growl when they go to get picked up. They're also brilliant conspiracy theorists. So Brooke and John, what the fuck is happening?
I got no fucking idea what's going on.
Okay, cool.
Like, it seems like there's no way off the planet. I guess
we're all
no
rats
shuttles,
on
period. No coming in, no going out.
We're all rats on a sinking ship at this point. You can't get off planet, and there's an RB sitting. What? There's a RB sitting in the atmosphere. Still don't know anything about the convoy. Yeah, we haven't figured that out really.
What the? We just introduced the weird puppet zombies with wide eyes. Is this like who's making these?
The opposite of John's eyes. Like if John's eyes are black, then white eyes are.
Right,
eyes are so important in the series. We have no fucking idea what's going on. Are these?
But they felt like puppets, which we're now seeing like puppets in the dreams that were not autonomous, real people resurrected. Like are these non-resurrected things?
Bodies? You know what my operating theory is going to be for those?
Them?
We don't know who's making them. My crazy off the wall conspiracy theory is that they are the BOE equivalent of constructs. But they're like necromancer proof. So they're like bodies that necromancers can't control because they've like done something with the soul or something. And so they're transporting like soulless, uncontrollable bodies to fight necromancers.
That's cool that they would have found a way to create bodies of warriors that you can send out and that cannot be manipulated by your enemy necromancers. I like that idea. I don't know how the fuck this would have happened. They don't have the technology for this as far as we're aware.
We have captured
technology,
necromancers. I don't
including necromancy. Yeah, like Judith. Where'd Judith go? I don't know.
So I hadn't thought of this previously. Judith is the female version of Judas.
Wow, Hannah.
Does Judith get turned at some point during this?
She cares for everybody all the time, except for Judith. Okay, I'm sorry, John. I was just so flabbergasted by that comment. Tell me more about your lining her up with Judas.
Oh, I was going to say Judith, and Judith is just the feminine version of Judas.
I don't really know the story of Judas.
Technically, Judith as a name predates Judas as a name because Judith is part of the Old Testament.
Oh, true. All right, so Judas is the
male equivalent,
the subsequent male equivalent of. I don't know. We kind of know what they're looking for in all these various facilities now. Like they're looking for the family or necromancers or people to save. I'm convinced Nona can hear Varun. So again, she's like some amalgam of humanity, a resurrection beast, something else. The personification of...
If RBs can communicate with each other via, I don't know, songs, very nice sounding.
Yeah.
Maybe we like Varun.
Well, isn't Varun the Devourer, right? Isn't that his full title?
Varun the Eater, I think.
The Eater.
Which I would argue is actually creepier than the Devourer.
Yeah.
Maybe he's a foodie.
He's
sorry, Brooke and Varun out to dinner, just like enjoying their sake and like.
This is a Michelin star planet eatery. You can just.
What do you think about Varun right now?
So like all we know about resurrection beasts are that they're giant vengeful spirits that eat other planets to get bigger, and they've been hunting the lictors and or God forever. But it turns out they can't actually kill God because God was lying about that. But they can certainly kill lictors. And we have.
What if they actually just want to play?
Yeah. This is feeding my theory that Nona is actually part resurrection beast because Varun otherwise would probably have just eaten the planet and gone on with his day because that's what resurrection beasts are doing. He's just
you think he can sense her?
Why hasn't he eaten the planet? Why is he just hanging up? He's just been hanging out for basically the similar timeline to when Nona wakes up, it sounds like.
Well, but there's also the periscoping thing, right? Like he's not surfaced right now is what they're suggesting.
He's sort of surfaced, right? Like he's manifesting at least blue light and like a somewhat physical presence in the physical world.
Yeah, he has a physical presence, but so do lictors when they're in underwater, when they're in the river. So I don't know what's going on. We're being told the story through a child's perspective. We'll pick up, maybe we'll get some more pieces later. But what's funny to me, when we were reading the John chapter this week, And we get the whole thing where like he's telling this story about how he's already kind of become God. There's like, but even the reason that they were doing this project was because she was sick, and it sounds like she is probably like maybe the Earth herself. And so she's sick. Electo maybe being the Earth is sick. There's doing necromancy to try and like escape the planet, go find safe haven elsewhere. Or sorry, not doing necromancy. Did I say they're doing necromancy? They're doing the facility freeze cryopreservation process to be plan B, getting off the planet. Then he develops necromancy powers. He's about to stream it to the whole world. Then we're sitting in nuclear ash. The waters are rising. Like, this is starting to... I literally got a flash of the End of the World YouTube video. Like, one of those
the greatest video ever made.
Just a sweet earth, very round. But, like, right at the beginning of that movie, he talks about, like, if we're not, like, going to be... it's not because, like, the polar ice caps are melting or what all the other... Like, he lists all these different things before he gets to, we're definitely going to die from the nuclear war. And I was like, what if this is her answer to, like, it's all of those things? Her entire premise of the book is that video. It's all these things happened.
Sorry, that's like the greatest meme watch of all time if, like, the entire plot is generated based on
End of the world. I am retired. So take a nap.
Fine.
Then fire the missiles.
Fine.
But I am retired. Yeah, okay. I did want to, there's one thing that I want to bring up is that you guys have never picked up on this, and Hannah and I want to show like how clever we are, that the whole reason that we do recaps the way that we do is because of the day descriptions in Nona. That's why we started doing it that way. And so I just wanted to recap. We're at the end of day 2. Let's see, do we agree with the recap from day 2 of like, these were the things that were important. Day 2 was mush for breakfast. Okay. Honesty's job goes terribly wrong. Okay. The city has a worse day. Camilla and Palamides keep her home tonight. Yeah. All of those things happened. Makes sense once you know what happened.
Aren't you guys devious? The bar has been set quite high for when we take over in season 4 here.
I was so pleased when Marie came up with this, because Marie was like, we should do a recap at the beginning. We should make it Nona style. And I was like, oh my God, everything has changed.
Wait, what's the recap? You just read out the beginning of the day, right? So we just
I mean like our chapter recaps.
Brooke, just look impressed.
Listen, I have a great impress Zoom face, all right? That's like mandatory in corporate America. Somebody says something that is entirely unnecessary or contributes nothing, and you just gotta be like,
that is a great face.
Yeah.
He does have a good one.
He has
that was
a
good.
impressed Zoom face.
It was really impressive.
Well, I guess we're going to see if John is just as impressed next time, and if Brooks keeps making that same face when they tell us what they think is sexy in Note of the Ninth, chapters 11
What?
and 12.
Sorry, I'm highly judgmental 100% of the time. And if you, dear listener, are, like me and John, reading along for the first time, make sure you find our reading calendar on our website, frontline5th.podbean.com, or follow us on Instagram or TikTok. To support us, you can buy merch or join our Patreon, all of which are linked in the show notes. If you like this podcast, please share it with your friends and give us a 5-star rating anywhere you can. And if you didn't like it, feel free to lie. Now, head off to sleep, my baby necros. Mommy and Daddy have some deep spoilers to discuss.
Get in, losers. We're going speculating.
Act 5. What an entirely haunted time to be alive.
Amen.
Warning! This portion of the podcast is 98% spoilers and like 2% snickering.
Seriously, we will spoil anything and everything in the series up through Note of the Ninth. If that's not what you want, turn back now. Well, yeah, I don't know what we learned this week. I feel like we learn a lot, but I just not really.
It was like a good set of chapters for discussion, but not really for rampant speculation, not for looking ahead. There's only a couple of things that I like wanted to mention One of which actually is Skull Watch. So like the icon for this chapter is a broken second house skull. And it is very much about Pyrrha. But I just wonder what you thought about it being broken.
It's because it's not the two of them.
But we've had stuff in the past where it was a whole second house skull and it seemed to be about Pyrrha. So like maybe it's about them being broken into. Maybe it's about her loss. Maybe it's about, or just about the way she's hiding from herself. Because also like the other thing, we talked a little bit about how Pyrrha is, she's super practical, but she also is not as practical and logical as she's trying to put up. She's going to be that person who goes and does the mercy killing.
Yes.
Like, keep Cam home tonight. I'm not staying home.
Yeah, I think it might be a second house. Or like, I wonder if it's something where it's like when, do you think the broken skulls are like when people are lying?
That's kind of interesting.
Or like obfuscating the truth, right? Because she says, keep her home.
I like that.
Like, none of us can do anything.
Like
you don't get to have feelings, all of this. And the whole time, like, she's got feelings about it. She's going to do something about it. She's not staying home.
She's willing to risk her life, but she's not willing to risk Cam and Pal's.
Right.
Which is a very Pyrrha sensibility. There were only a couple other like little things. One of the like little one-offs in the John chapter we had this week is that John, even as a child, hated change. All change. And I was like, oh my God, this explains so much about your entire personality.
Yeah. And then Alecto
likes change.
Yeah.
Mostly.
I was like, well, evolution. Yeah.
Yes. But I also like, she liked change and then mostly implies like maybe one thing that sucked. And I feel like it is becoming Alecto.
Yeah. 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 I like the conversation about letting go, but I think it's so interesting because there's an additional piece to that, which Nona says before she talks about it, where she says she doesn't like the moment before you let go, when you're trying to decide and you're afraid of letting go, but she likes letting go.
Yeah.
She likes the really feeling of letting go. And I was like, oh yeah, like I think maybe part of what it is too is like, I don't, like when you said you actually love the feeling of free fall and you love all of that. And it's like, no, I don't trust that I'm going to hit safely. I don't trust that things are going to be fine when I hit. So I don't let go because I'm afraid of what is going to happen. Like a lot of my life I'm determining is actually based on fear-based responses, which is not great.
Yeah, literally all of us, dude.
Yeah. But I mean, like it feels like sometimes that's, there's nothing about it. Like, in other words, you still have that fear of what's going to happen when you fall, or like what's going to happen during the fall and what's going to happen at the very end. But you can like let it go enough that you can enjoy the fall. And like Alecto or like Nona is talking about enjoying the fall. And I was like, I can never enjoy the fall because I'm so caught up in like the emotional hangover of deciding to let go. And then the fear of what happens when I hit the bottom that I can't enjoy the fall.
This makes perfect fucking sense to me. Also, just like on a totally not Tamsin, just like human level, I wonder how much of it is practice. The first couple times you do a drop, it's fucking terrifying. I really fuck up my neck, clenching my teeth. And then by the third time I do it, I'm just like, woo! Like maybe it is about learning that you're going to be safe at the bottom, because it's a very different story jumping off when you can't see what you're jumping into.
Yeah.
This is such a so small one-off thing. But we've had multiple allusions now to Pyrrha helping at a birth. In this chapter, she says she helped at a birth once. There's definitely a different chapter when she painted a nursery. Maybe that comes later in this book.
I can't remember if it's already happened or if it's later, where she says she painted a nursery mint green. I don't think we've gotten there yet. I don't think we've gotten there yet because she does say something. She alludes to having been on the 9th before it was the 9th.
Yes.
And then she alludes now to having helped with a birth once. I almost wonder now if it was like Anastasia's birth.
Right. Well, so it's something about the 9th house. It could be Anastasia's birth. It could be Samael's birth. It could be the birth of one of their children. But it is a 9th house related birth that Pyrrha was part of and connected to for sure.
Oh, this reminds me. I saw this recently. I think this was on the Reddit thread recently. It was like talking again about like what was the relationship between Anastasia and Samael. And saying like there's so many things to talk about, like maybe it was mother and son, but like that seems really like completely and totally fucked up that a mother would be willing to kill her son, and just like absolutely impossible. And so then maybe it was the other way around and Samael was actually her father, and it still was a parent-child relationship, specifically because the prohibition on lictorhood, or like not lictorhood, the prohibition on, or like the sermon on cavaliers and necromancers specifically prohibits 3 types of relationships: parent-child, sibling, and romantic. And Cassiopeia and Nigella were romantic. Alfred and Augustine were siblings. And we don't see a parent-child.
I love that. I actually think that's really cool. And I 100% agree. There's like no world in which a child would be a cavalier. And that's even before you know you have to kill them. My child is not going to stand in front of me with a sword and block me from dying.
No, never. So yeah, I think there's that. And then that would also mean that Anastasia truly is like the first reverend daughter.
Yes. Oh, fuck. I love this. Thank you. I'm on board. Canon. Yeah. That's canon.
I'm on board with that. I really liked that discussion and that thread, because I was like, that there's a lot pulling together there where we have these prohibitions. Like, it would make sense for there to be, like, in a sick way, it would make sense for there to be a parent-child pairing in this.
Yeah.
Just thematically. So, yeah. That's disturbing. Is that all we got?
Yeah.
Okay. Act 6. See you next time, my little nunlets. Well, it looks like BOE is about to break down the door, so we will be back next week to faceplant into our breakfast in Nona the Ninth, chapters 11 and 12. If you want to follow along with us, our reading calendar is available on our website at frontline5th.podbean.com, and you can follow us on Instagram and TikTok, which are linked in the show notes. If you enjoyed this podcast, please tell your friends and give us a 5-star rating anywhere you can. And of course, if you didn't enjoy the podcast, feel free to lie. We have a Patreon, which you can join for access to bonus content every month. You can become a patron, and we're pretty sure none of them are meat puppets, at patreon.com/frontline5th, and you can check out our merch at our Redbubble store linked in the show notes. Finally, if you have any fun theories that you'd like to share with us, feel free to email us at frontline5th@gmail.com. And with that, I'll just remind you not to unlock any tombs or enter any doors without permission, because, ghosts. Bye!
Frontline Fifth is a Locked Tomb podcast conceived by Maria Adamako and starring Maria Adamako, Hannah Grunwald, Brooke Anderson, and John Ryan. Our cover art was designed and created by Maria Adamako, who also edited this episode. Our fabulous music was composed and recorded by Blake Anderson. Sonia Grunwald designs our killer merch. Hot. Gorgeous. The Locked Tomb series is a completely dope-ass book series by Tamsin Muir, who does not know we exist and is in no way affiliated with this podcast.